Hello and welcome to Open Source Workplace video. Again, I'm excited to bring a new guest to the show, Aakash Ravi, who is the co-founder of Spaceti. Aakash, how are you doing, sir?
Doing very well, Steve. How about you?
I'm doing very well. How are you keeping during these times?
As I told you, trying to keep my spirits high, getting enough exercise, trying to get some sunlight, every once in a while, and yeah, just staying positive.
Good man, good man. No, you have a very interesting background. Born in India, you've lived in 6 countries and speak 5 languages. Does that help you in these days and everything you're trying to accomplish?
Yeah, I think it's funny that since everything is now gone digital, it puts everyone on the level playing field, right? So before being in a certain geography, being headquartered in a certain geography helps you with clients in that geography. Now you can pretty much speak to any client or partner, any country, no matter where you are. And I think that's kind of the expected standard. So it definitely has helped put us, let's say, and put small companies on the same playing field as some of the larger companies who had more face-to-face contact before. So yeah, it does help, and the language skills do definitely help.
And it certainly speaks to your intelligence, especially when we know that you did a math and computer science background. So you're obviously a very bright guy, and obviously you work with a very smart team. Given I know all of you guys went to college together, and you've known each other for a long time. So it's a very interesting company that Space T is, and obviously now you've developed obviously a workplace analytics platform. How traditionally have people used or your clients used your workplace tool?
Yeah, I think before this pandemic set in, how it was really being used is there was a big shift towards making or having data-driven workplaces and understanding the utilization of the workspace and using that combined with strategic imperatives such as acquiring a new company or consolidating real estate and combining the data and the strategic initiatives to plan an open or flexible office plan or shift to a new building or renew the lease. So these decisions before were really being done without any concrete data at hand. And by our technology, with our vertically integrated solution of sensors and also analytics, provides facilities and real estate managers and workplace managers the data so that they can make these decisions more efficiently. And then we also have an aspect of monitoring air quality inside the building, which, as you know, especially now it's really taking a forefront. How does air quality affect the health, well-being, and now immunity of people, and how can you monitor that and optimize that for the safety of your employees?
No, it's a great point. It's a nice segue into sort of like the current day environment, right? There's the conversations that's going on with every company, every business across the globe at the moment is how do we get employees back to the office, right? Has the narrative shifted from your customers and your clients, what they're after from you as a company and how they're using the tool?
I think it's been a very fascinating couple of months, to say the least. First of all, a lot of companies are shifting to work from home, which has made it difficult to implement projects because a lot of things a lot of real estate decisions are being postponed until people can actually get back into the office. But at the same time, I think there's a short-term and long-term perspective. I think in the short term, companies have actually come to us, and our clients are coming to us and mentioning that they're using our workplace monitoring and analytics solution to actually ensure that proper social distancing is being maintained as people get back to work. This is especially true in Europe, where companies are starting up again a little bit, but the government is still restricting how many people can stay in a specific floor plan. What should be the target occupancy level or the maximum occupancy level? So clients have come to us and said, "Hey guys, we're actually using your technology to monitor and make sure that it doesn't get too crowded." So previously, technology that was being used to optimize the real estate is now really being used to prevent the spread of infectious disease, which is really, really fascinating.
And how are they using that distancing? Is it just basically using the space, the square footage, the desk sizes, or is there technology embedded there or devices that allow people to be able to monitor, know whenever they're coming into that distance? Is that how it's been used?
So there's, I think, several different aspects. The first aspect is a pre-planning aspect. So we have also, in addition to our analytics and sensor solution, we have a reservation platform. So companies are actually able to make and make certain spaces reservable and make certain spaces unreservable. So in that way, they can make, for example, every other desk allowed to be reserved so that there's enough distance between people. So there's that pre-planning aspect. Then there's an active monitoring aspect, which the sensors actually collect real-time data and show this to our administrators and our facilities managers. And based on that, they're able to see, okay, are people maintaining that adequate distance between each other? And then there's a reporting aspect, which I think is important for regulatory authorities, for occupational health and safety professionals to have that analytics data at hand to prove that we have monitored employees to maintain that social distancing in the workplace. So if we look at, I think there's three different aspects, which is the pre-planning, the active monitoring, and then the reporting aspect.
I think the reporting aspect is something that people don't really think about it intuitively, but actually it is one of the most critical elements of this practice. So I'm glad you touched on that. And as we move forward, to keep employees at ease, and now you mentioned the air sensors, is it within your app that employees are able to see the sensor or the reporting of the air quality? How is that typically reported?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think maybe you sent me a very interesting link earlier, Steve, about the ASHRAE standards. How
Yeah.
they're talking about shutting off the ventilation does not prevent the spread. You need to keep the ventilation on, keep that building kind of running, let's say, so people get back into work. And I think it's fascinating in that there's several different aspects we can look at air quality during this pandemic and beyond. I think there's what we do know and what we don't know. And what we do know is the fact that even before this pandemic hit, higher levels of CO2 or unoptimal levels of temperature, humidity do lead to a long-term depletion in the health and well-being of people. So that's something we knew already. We just didn't know it could become so serious until now. So I think that's something that's going to pick up now and continue even beyond this pandemic. The second thing we already knew as well is that the longer or the less ventilation there is in the office or any indoor environment, the longer a disease can actually stay in the air. And I sent you this fascinating report or study been done in a hospital environment where actually higher levels of ventilation help to, let's say, push out, to say for lack of a better word, the disease faster and lower the rate of infection in infectious disease wards. So that was also very fascinating aspect. So that we also know that higher or lower levels of ventilation actually accelerate the spread of disease. What we don't really know right now is there's been some early evidence higher levels of temperature or humidity or ambient light helps to prevent the spread of the virus. So people are thinking that in the summer this spread is going to slow down a little bit. So it gives people a false sense of confidence. But the truth is that it's these mathematical models that are very, very early in nature. And we've seen already in some countries like Italy and Spain, where there's normally more sunlight, the occurrence of the disease has been higher than in England, for example, or Sweden. So where there's naturally less sunlight. So it's really, really hard to say, how that's going to affect or what ambient conditions are conducive for the spread of the disease. So I think that's something we don't know yet. And I think it's dangerous to kind of base any data on that. So the things we do know is that good ventilation, keep the levels of CO2, temperature, humidity in healthy levels that were healthy even before the pandemic, and collect the data from sensors to make sure you're doing that is going to be valuable during this pandemic and also after.
It's really, really important. I appreciate you giving so much color around that, Akash. And obviously, as we continue these conversations, we'll be able to dig in because there's a few interesting things you said there around the mathematical models, which sort of I would love to dig into a little bit more, and obviously get your insights into where you see this space going in the future. Because I know you have some really, really interesting insights that I hope we get to share as we go. But look, today, thank you. I appreciate your time, and you be safe, be well.
Thank you so much, Steve. Take care.